probably one of the most important discussion in youth ministry is this topic. And I know, man, we could probably say that in every room that's going on. Campus access. How critical and important is that? Personal leadership, right? Not just leadership development, but personal leadership development, the wellness. There are so many sexuality and identity, family. I mean, we could do sessions on each one of those kind of topics, right? I think a lot of what we're going to talk about here is what defines the youth ministry, though. Okay, the youth ministry, not necessarily the student. Now, I think the impact of this discussion certainly is spiritual formation of the student when we talk about presence versus program. So it's like a consequence of what we're going to talk about. But this specifically is how you define a youth ministry versus a youth group. Question at the top. How much time do you spend doing the tasks that you're doing? So if you could, like in my coaching relationships, when I sit down with youth pastors, I have this formula and I tell them, put a percentage on all of these kind of tasks that you do, right? 25% event planning, 25% counseling, whatever, just throwing these numbers out, right? 25% sermon prep, setup, campus access, what are the percentages of all of the things, the tasks that you're doing? And you can look at that and determine whether you are a presence-based or a program-based youth ministry. Does that make sense? Because am I spending more time with the program or with the people? I think generally you will spend more time with the program if you don't have enough people around you. Does that make sense? Delegation, right? Most of us in youth ministry have the mantra, the buck stops here. That's what leaders usually, we're like, hey, it all funnels to me, and if I say go, they go, and that's the mentality that we've been kind of raised around. But the best leaders, the buck starts here. Does that make sense? I'm giving you coin. Here, you go do what you're supposed to do. This is I've asked you to do this. I've showed you how to do this, so go do it. That's a better mantra when it comes to leadership than everything funnels back to me. So that's where that percentage thing, if you could just go over in your mind, what am I spending most of my time doing? That will almost determine what we're going to talk about today. You will be able to say, I am a program-based ministry, but I don't want to be, just by looking at the time spent. Okay? When you show up on, these are just some thoughts I'm giving you as we get into the material. When you show up on Wednesday night, Friday night, Sunday night, whenever you meet, when you show up and all you're concerned about is the stuff and not the student, that's a program-based youth ministry. And again, I think I mentioned it over. They don't have to be mutually exclusive of each other. I am a presence-based guy. That the program means zero to me. That's why I got people around me to do that, right? I mean, I've grown in that. It used to be where administration and organization was my weakness. Now it's not my strength. I'm like in the middle. I got a handout for y'all. I run an organization and I have an LLC, but it's like, I don't want that to consume me. Relationships over reports, So just think 2 nights ago when I was in youth, if that's when you had your youth ministry. Did I spend more time with the people or worrying about planning center? You know, you as the leader need to be with the people. Okay, I'll say this. This is totally parenthetical. Let me just say this. This is free. This is what I wanted to do, and Kirby said, no, let's go a different way. I want to talk about longevity because that's just a major passion of mine. Yeah. God did not change his mind when he called you to youth ministry. Yeah. And you don't age out of youth anyway, okay. The more time you spend with leaders, the less time you're going to be in youth ministry. And the more time you spend with students, the longer you're going to be in youth ministry. I love leadership development. I teach at a university, okay? I have a master's degree, but I used to tell my leaders, if I'm spending more time with you, kick me out of the room and send me back to the kids. Right? Because it's in my DNA. Maybe because I'm classic. People say all the time, if you could do youth ministry all over again, what would you do? And I say, nothing different. Zero different. Because I did what y'all are already doing. I did small groups 40 years ago when I was in college as a youth pastor. We did small groups. I wouldn't do anything different. I've never, now hear me, this is not, man. I have never played a game in youth ministry, ever. Okay? I'm not telling you not to. Usually I say that I never wasted 7 minutes to play a game. Now, I've had them come up to me, and I know maybe you're in the room. You use the game for the theme, and it teaches the lesson that night, and it's, relational, whatever, and it's good. It's not unorganized. Plastic bags ripped over the head, opened up, and then you could, the pool, was leaking all over, and you got in trouble. I don't know, whatever. I get all that. Listen, look at me. I love to play, but pray comes first. You'll see that. I love to play. Put me in a room of teenagers, and I can play all freaking day. But in this setting, in the service setting, we don't play. I never mix the two. Again, somebody else could follow up here and be like, dude, we just love the programming, we love the game, and it's, everything's flipping, and then we turn the page and we get, great, do that well. I've just not been in too many of those settings where you can make that flip. And then what happens is the messaging gets so watered down, and the kids walk out with, goo in their hair and, a little bit of banana on their shoulder or whatever. And all the senior high kids are like, what are you doing? They don't even play music underneath it. They forgot the rules. You know what I'm saying. So I've just tried to, when it comes to balance, keep play during the playtime and pray during the pray time. Okay, so you'll see that come out here a little bit. A program-based youth ministry values the organization and the systems of ministry and how efficient these run and how they meet the goals. Goals, right? Beyond time, presentation is really important versus presence. Like I've been in those, here's the planning center, or they'll send me the link to the planning center, and everything has to go. There's the countdowns, the whole thing, right? And everything is on. They got the headsets and youth. I've been in those settings, and everything's just like boom, 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 and the service coordinator and all this, And then when you're done, you do your presentation, and I walk off, and they go, "All right, here's the next game. Get your phones up, right?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And we wonder why we have a 4% biblical worldview in teenagers today. Okay? Because we love theater more than theology. I don't think theater and theology need to be exclusive or separated. Read the book of Acts. You're trying to do You're trying to do all this stuff, and you forgot about the book of Acts. That'll freaking blow your mind. People dying, visions. Read Revelation. You think the scriptures don't value theater? What brings theater in the scriptures is his presence. Right? That's what brings theater. I don't have to create theater. The Holy Spirit is the most creative person in human history. And we're trying to out-create the Spirit. You want to go on a ride in youth ministry? Follow the Holy Spirit. That's a ride.